next heat is out and coming ready. I think there's a little miscommunication on when to send them out to the blocks. Next heat is preparing themselves for heat number 2 now. It's not quite a full heat yet. Heat 2. Doing some venue announcing here. We're having a little bit of a shaky start again. Different people on different jobs in the morning, and they don't necessarily know the flow of the meet. So we're going to have some little dead spots and dead air. Anyway, this heat is no dead air in there. Great swimming going on. In the water is heat 2 of 5 of the men's 400-meter freestyle. In lane 2, Jonathan Joel Hernandez Gonzalez. In lane 3, Jared Isai Olivia Silvia. In lane 4, Michael Drelis. In lane 5, Gianni Mercado. In lane 6, Josue Rodrigo. And in lane 7, Nicolas Guevara Montez. This is heat 2 of 5. So you hear me moving around from announcer voice, where I enunciate very carefully. This is a very big room and lots of echo, so I try to speak pretty clearly. So if anybody in the venue is listening, they can hear me pretty clearly. Heat 1's coming into their first 100. In the lead in lane 2, that is Jonathan Gonzalez from Mexico. Moving up on him in lane 4, Gianni Mercado. I think Gianni let Jonathan burn off some energy early, and now he's starting to make a move on him. Very fast tempo. In lane number 6, that's Josue Rodrigo. He's got a little bit faster tempo with his upper body throughout the whole swim. He's got that pause out in front, probably to help himself with his balance. They're swimming pretty much side by side. I think you'll probably see an energy push here from, I think that's Gianni Mercado in lane number 5. An energy push I would call really just picking up arms and legs and rotation and breathing a little bit more often, just kind of all the parts of the swim, as opposed to just picking up the foot speed or just picking up the arm speed. So they are both doing that a little bit. Looks like their splits here are going to get a little bit faster. We're in our final 100 of this 400 freestyle. So Andrew Mandujano in the previous heat was awarded 327 points for that race. And the points come from a quick calculation in each classification by the time you swam against the present world record. There's a formula that it goes into. The world record time would be set at 1,000 points. So that would be the standard for an event in each classification. $100 left to go. These two guys, really as I predicted for you, Gianni Mercado took over there with a little bit of an energy push, 44.5, as opposed to Jared's 45.1. So he went 2 seconds faster than he was holding before, and 1 second faster than his nearest competitor there. He's probably going to be able to hold that new lead that he just took going into the 300. They've got about 10 meters to go on their second to last 50. That's Gianni Mercado in lane 5 and Olivia Silva over in lane 3. Jared held on to his tempo very well, like a good distance swimmer would, but looks like Gianni had a little bit energy stored waiting for this last 100. Now you can see him really picking up his kick and his arm speed again. In doing that, he's lost a little control of his head position. If he could keep that steady, he would swim slightly faster. But just the energy he's putting out is making him quite a bit faster than Jared. And your Heat 2 winner is going to be Gianni Mercado in lane number 5 with a time of 5:41.3. Jared Silva from Mexico finishes with a 5:44.4. Our third place swimmer is just coming into the wall right now in lane 6, and that is Josue Rodrigo from El Salvador, 5:56.88. Up in lane 2 in 4th place was Jonathan Hernandez Gonzalez from Mexico, and he was 5:58, which was 16 seconds faster than his 6:15 entry time. Rounding out the heat there in lane number 7, that's Nicolas Montes from Mexico. Lane 4 got about 30 meters to go. That's Michael Drelis from the United States. He's swimming a kind of a long and relaxed 400. This may not be his big event today. He's entered quite a bit faster than the time that he's going to go. But he's just keeping a long, steady rate. I'm sure he and his coach know what they're doing, could be preparing, using this event to gauge how to swim the next one. But he finishes in a 7:07.6, and that wraps up Heat 2 of 5. That double whistle after they finish a race is a cue from the officials to clear the pool. See, early in the swim, Jared Silva from Mexico was holding on to a very conservative lead, and just past halfway, Gianni Mercado started to bring in some new energy. There they are with, I think, 100 or maybe 100 or 50 meters left, where he started to take over. And we are setting up the athletes for heat number 3. We have a full pool in this one. Heat 3. In the pool is heat 3 of 5 of the men's 400-meter freestyle, event number 9. In lane 1, Marcus Vital. In 2, Cirrus Kia. In lane 3, Diego Yamos Rios. In lane 4, Aiden Williams. In lane 5, Nestor Hernandez Ramirez. In lane 6, Ocana Patricia Nicolasco Preciado. In lane 7, Jesus Sylvester Rincon Maldajano. And in lane number 8, Antoine Saint-Germain. This is heat 3 of 5. And that was a mouthful of names. Now we can get to calling the swim. Lane 3 and 5. That's Diego Rios in 3 and Hernandez Ramirez in 5. Out to a pretty even first 100. Both of them splitting 109s. Just behind them, splitting 12 and 13. That was lanes 4 and 6, Aiden Williams and Preciado from Mexico. So we've got we've got 3 pretty good races happening in this one heat. The first 2 guys out in front of the heat in lanes 3 and 5. And then a second race just behind them in 4 and 6. And then a third race over in 1 and 2. So plenty of for us to talk about. We can see what they're doing physiologically to go the speed they're going. In lane 3, Diego is definitely holding on to a little bit faster tempo and a nice long stroke, where Nestor in 5 has lost a little bit of his stroke length but kept his tempo up. And now he's kind of regained that length. I don't think he heard me, but he changed it back right as I mentioned it. Maybe he got a little trigger in his head. He's definitely got a great freestyle stroke. Diego's holding a commanding lead. I think he's going to be able to keep that. He looks well in control, unless Nestor is going to bring on some kicking or a little bit more powerful stroke on the one side. This seems to be Diego's swim. Let's see what he's splitting. The guys in the last heat leading were in the 40 to 42 range per 50. And Diego is 38.8. He's at 3:04 halfway through the race. Just got 100 left after this next turn. Nice and long out in front. Maybe a little too relaxed. You want to swim with a little more urgency than you're seeing. And I'm sure as he improves his training, that's going to happen. But out in front right now, you've got Diego Rios turning at the 300. 40.2, so he's gone up a little bit. He was 38 on the previous split. He could be holding back a little bit there before he goes after a big last 100. That's a physiological race plan. And sometimes psychologically, when you know you're about to speed up, sometimes your brain just makes your body slow down a little first. So the brain's always trying to protect comfort. And if you're racing, the last thing you get to have is comfort. In the bigger picture, these are always unofficial when I talk about points in the prelim session, but Jose Rodrigo is leading this event right now with 545 points. So we'll see what happens to that lead as he goes. Right now he has a comfortable spot in the finals, but that's with multiple heats left. Really picked up his intensity here. He was 38 on the previous couple of 50s. I think he's going to be in that 35 to 36 range in the finish. This is Diego Rios from Mexico finishing his 400 freestyle and winning our third heat. Yeah, he was 38 on that 50. one of his fastest 50s in the swim, and he goes 5:02.23. He entered with a 5:09, so that is 6 or 7 seconds faster. Outstanding swim for Diego there in lane 3. Finishing behind him in second place, that was Nestor Hernandez Ramirez. He was 37.9, so he had the fastest last split, but still he was behind a little bit at 5:09. And that's about 4 seconds off of his entry time. Lane 7 is coming in to finish his 400. That's Jesus Maldonado. Jesus is here from Mexico. He entered with a 5:39. He's at 6:14. So yesterday's efforts could be weighing down on these 400 freestylers a little bit, as most of the swimmers are at or slightly over their entry times. Heat 4. Up next is Heat 4 of the 400 freestyle. Aiden Williams has taken over on the points side. As you can see, it's really impressive that our admin crew is getting this information up to us so quickly. But you got to be in the 500s right now to feel safe with 2 heats left. Heats 4 and 5 still yet to go. I think I called the heat on the wrong whistles, but I will be doing that again. Not sure what that background noise was. You see and hear all kinds of things. Good tempo, and then he was able to pick up his pace a little bit faster in the second half of the swim. He was holding 38s and 40s. And your Heat 3 winner, Diego Rios from Mexico. We've got a full heat here in heat number 4. Heat 4. In the water is Heat 4 of 5 of the men's 400-meter freestyle, multi-class S6 to S14. In lane 1, Isaac Barton. In lane 2, Taliesin Enrique Glock. In lane 3, Braxton Wong. In lane 4, Owen McNair. In lane 5, Carson Bruner. In lane 6, Aaron Thomas. In lane 7, TJ Donan. And in lane 8, Octavio Ramiro Velasquez. This is Heat 4 of 5. Looks like we've got a local swim team here who's just arrived, hopefully to either support one of their local teammates or just coming out to watch some Paralympic world-class swimming today. They're filing in, looking for a seat. Looks like maybe Coach woke them up before they wanted to wake up today, as they're filing in to find some of those comfortable seats I was talking about last night. You can see them there. That's a relatively new addition to the Natatorium. And I believe this is Zionsville High School, the green machine, as you can see. So they're either coming in to cheer for a teammate or coming in to watch and learn about World Para Swimming. What a great thing to have a team show up and support. Aiden Williams is still holding on to that points lead. Our top 3 point scorers so far are in the 500s, and then it trails down into the 200s. Heat 4 in the water is just passing the 150 mark. Out in a pretty strong lead right now in lane 3. That's Braxton Wong. Braxton grew up on the Central Coast in California, in Clovis, California. That's the home of a lot of great swimming meets and swimming teams and swimmers. And Braxton is a wonderful example of the great swimming out of Clovis, California, and Clovis Swim Club. But here, in an international meet, he is representing the United States. He's really developing well. Nice long stroke, keeping in his breathing rhythm, working to keep his body aligned so he can hold on to that speed without much resistance through the water. If you work with the water, you do much better than when you fight it. And Braxton is not fighting the water. He's definitely fighting the event, fighting the heat. He's holding 35s on each 50. He's 250 at the 150 mark. I'm sorry, that's the 250 mark. That's Braxton Wong out in front of the heat. Some of those guys just behind him are in a three-way race for second. That's Owen, Carson, and Aaron, his fellow U.S. teammates. And what a great swim it looks like they're all having. It's hard to have a bad swim here in Indianapolis. This is one of the greatest pools in the United States, the IU Natatorium. Even an old man like me remembers racing in this pool back in the 1980s. Yes, 1980s. That was a long time ago. Braxton was in the 330s there. He entered with a 441, and I think he's going to be right around that time. Good 400 freestylers that feel pretty confident that they're going to get a second swim will be cautiously aggressive in the morning swim. They know they have to put out this or better energy at night. This is a long event, so if they feel pretty confident that they're going to get a second swim, you'll see them not maybe going out and blasting out a best time in the morning. Braxton's definitely going to finish this heat in first. And over in lane 6, that's Aaron Thomas, who made a move on his other teammates. Braxton finishes 36.4 in his last 50, going 440.4, which is about a second faster than his entry time. So I think he's smiling through the hard breathing of that race. These guys finish in the 440 to 448 range. We'll see how that stacks up next time they show us the points. I think some of these guys might have moved up over that 450 500s that the present leaders going into the finals have. So this heat has finished. They cleared them. And you can check out the results. Braxton a 440.4. He was entered at a 441. Just behind him was Aaron Thomas at 442, and then 444 for Owen McNair. Well, now we can move over and see. Again, these are always going to be unofficial when we show them to you. They are putting these up and scrolling them. We only see the top 6, but I think that's somebody working on their computer. There we go. Glock has taken over at 882, 748 for Braxton Wong. That 748 and 882 should definitely get second swims. Owen McNair third right now with 705. Then it starts to trail to the 6, 5, and 400s. Those points are compiled through an equation that is beyond my comprehension, but it's quick and easy to do with a computer. But their time in their event is put into this equation that compares it to the present world record in their classification, and then it gives us a point score. World Para Swimming has moved towards this, so you're not only swimming against your competitors, against your own best time, you're swimming against the present world record holder to try to make it into the final, wherever and whenever they may have done that swim. A great swim for Braxton Wong as we move into heat number 5. Heat 5. In the water is our final heat of the men's 400-meter freestyle S6 to S14. In lane 1, Fernando Martinez Ramirez. In lane 2, Callum Simpson. In lane 3, Nathan Hendricks. In 4, Simone Barlam. In lane 5, Cohen Boyd. In lane 6, Noah Jaffe. In lane 7, Yahir Alejandro Perez Jimenez. And in lane 8, Jesus Martin Aguillon Fuentes. This is the final men's heat in the 400-meter freestyle. So far, our two front leaders in each heat have finished first and second. Right now in lane 3, that's Nathan Hendricks from the Republic of South Africa. Yes, you heard it right. We've got swimmers here from all over the world. Some of them just getting used to traveling to the United States as we head towards LA 28 and the Paralympic Games in the City of Angels in 2028. So you'll have international swimming federations wanting to get into the groove of what the travel is like coming to the United States on their multiple flights, how long it takes to get used to the new time zone, the feel of how a swim meet is run in the U.S. All of these things are those X factors that make a champion at the Paralympic Games. It would be a very rare thing for an athlete that had never been to the host country to come in and have a great meet. So the World Series, the Paraswimming World Series, is an incredible opportunity for these athletes to travel here and see what it's like racing in the United States. Another reason to come to this meet is to get their international classification, either for the first time or get it updated if it is expiring or if their ability level is increasing or decreasing. We want to keep the playing field as even as possible. So there's a lot of reasons to come to all of these World Para Meets. International classification is something that it's hard to get scheduled. There are not a lot of opportunities, so you definitely have to travel to where that's happening. Another thing is this is just the beginning of the long course season around the world. We swim short course meters, which would be a half a length of this pool for most of the winter, and then it's prep towards World Championships if it's a World Championships year, or the Paralympic Games in a Games year, which won't be until 2028, that we switch the pool over and we swim in a 50-meter course. So this is a great place for those athletes to just establish their 50-meter times. There aren't that many athletes that travel to the entire Paraswimming World Series. Some of them are lucky enough to be in a position to get to 2 or 3 of the meets. So that series is put together very carefully so you have at least a couple of opportunities in each region in the world. There'll be a couple of races in the Asiatic and Australia and Oceanic region, in Asia, in the Americas. This is the meet that's happening in the Americas this year. And then of course the European races, the European meets. You probably see the best head-to-head competition in the European meets. No reason for that to be good or bad. It's just what it is. And our 5th heat champion really came up in the last 25 meters. That is Cohen Boyd from the U.S. at a 4:12.50 with Nathan Hendricks from the Republic of South Africa, who had the early lead and then fell back a little bit, I think, in that last 100. A trip well planned, well played, and well raced. This is just about the finish of our men's 400 freestyles. As our lane, I don't think we had a lane 8 competitor. So that wraps the men's 400 freestyle. Next up will be the women's 400 freestyle. So there's your results. And I'm sure we'll get a points update. If it doesn't make the screen, I'll read some of it to you as soon as these times are tabulated into points. The next event is the women's 400-meter freestyle multi-class. There are 6 heats. So we've got 6 heats of women coming up. We just had 5 heats of the men. And you can see that move happening just before the last 100, where Cohen Boyd took over the lead and didn't let anybody catch him. Pretty even there at that turn. Heat 1. I have a feeling that it's nice and quiet in the arena now, but when a swimmer from Zionsville or a swimmer from Indiana gets on those blocks, our team in the stands is gonna get loud. See, the points have gone up into the 900s, 800s, so you've got to be probably in the 700s or 800s to be able to get a second swim tonight. In the water is heat 1 of 6 of event 10, women 400-meter freestyle multi-class. In lane 2, Katie Johnson. In 3, Ruby Stevens. In lane 4, Adriana Lucia Cruz Pacheco. In lane 5, Diana Laura Jimenez Martinez. In lane 6, Danielle Doris. And in lane 7, Vivian Wandich. This is heat 1 of 6. Nice, long and steady. Nobody is really attacking quite yet, except there is looks like a little bit bigger effort there in lane 5 and 6. At that angle, it looks like 6 is ahead, but I think they're pretty even. Actually, lane 5, that is Diana Martinez from Mexico, taking an early lead at the 100. Definitely a stroke that's in control. She can certainly speed that up when she needs to later in the race, either if she gets challenged or by race design. She's out in the first 100 at a 1:23.8, so she's on track to get to her entry time, or maybe even better it, if she had an entry time. So she knows what she's trying to beat. We don't. She's entered at a no time. Most of this heat does not have an entry time. But strong and steady wins the race, as they say, and we've got 3 swimmers there swimming nice and strong and steady, keeping their strokes out in front as long as they can. Now, out in front means holding your arm out in front just before you drop your hand into your catch. When you drop that leading part of your arm, some for it's a hand, some it's not, the weight of your arm helps balance you on the surface of the water. So if you can, and when you can, you want to keep your body as long as possible. Well, you can't keep it long the whole time or you wouldn't be taking any strokes. So you can see she has got an incredible long out in front stroke. She does not move her head. It's rock steady when she swims. She's doing that classic one goggle in, one goggle out head position in her breath. She's really given us a freestyle clinic here. That's a beautiful freestyle. That is our swimmer in lane 6, Danielle Doris from Canada. Kudos to her, her team, her coaches, and Canada for getting the details right. Just out in front of her, though, is Diana from Mexico in lane 5. Danielle is starting to move up a little bit on Diana in lane number 5. But they're just 200 into this. So just past the halfway mark, you don't want to spend the energy too much, but we're getting into that area where it's time to start increasing the effort. An unfortunate thing just happened for Diana in lane 5. She's got long hair there, and we should not ever know that during a race. The reason that we know is her cap just came off. That's not a pleasant way to race a race. So she certainly didn't want that to happen, but as any athlete would, she swims as if it didn't happen. A testament to her willpower. That cap is a little bit loose there, and I'll tell you what usually happens. There's a trade-off to having beautifully maintained head of hair. When you use a lot of conditioner, that makes your hair pretty slick. And if you have a lot of hair in that cap and it's very well conditioned, a lot of times that cap could slip off, and I'm guessing that's what happened. It's unfortunate, but it hasn't affected how she's racing. She's still holding on to the lead coming into the 350 here. I think the timers were under the impression that they were finished. They're not quite done. They've got another 100, but they can fix that up. It is weighing on her a bit, literally and figuratively, where Danielle Doris has taken over the lead from Diana. It's probably not just the cap that caused that. Diana, I don't want to take away from her effort. That very efficient freestyle that she swims with is provided her with some finish energy for this last 100, and I can tell that her foot speed has picked up a little bit. Diana is just gonna be a fighter. This is just really an impressive effort out of her. That's probably like putting on a 10-pound weight in the middle of a race when your hair comes out of your cap. So really frustrating for her, but she is fighting like the champion that she is. Next to her, Danielle Doris from Canada has really managed her energy well, put together a great race strategy, and I don't think the cap situation next to her has anything to do with the fact that she's taken over the lead of this heat. That's Danielle Doris from Canada. Entered with a no time, so we don't know what her base time is. There in lane 4 is Adriana Pacheco from Mexico, as Danielle Doris from Canada's got about 15 meters to go in this 400-meter freestyle, a heat 1. You are watching the World Series in Indianapolis at the Natatorium. This is the World Paraswimming World Series 2025 USA stop, and your heat 1 winner, Danielle Doris from Canada, in a time of 6:20.6. Diana Martinez from Mexico, who had that unfortunate cap incident. I'm sure she's not very happy about that. It's a frustrating thing. She certainly stayed in the race and stayed in the fight. Lane 7, Vivia Wanzik was third. Looks like Diana's pad didn't fire either when she finished, so a couple of things not going her way, but we'll have an official time. When the time comes up blank when you've finished a race, it's okay, because we have timers that have electronic buttons that they stop 2 buttons, sometimes 3 buttons in a lane when the swimmer hits. You can see them standing over there, lane 2 for Ruby's finish. They each have a button with the electronic timing. That's the first backup system, and if that backup doesn't work, they each have a stopwatch. Adriana Pacheco in lane 4 coming into her last 25 meters. She's definitely picked up her kick speed. Her tempo is up. She's looking for the oxygen, so she's breathing just about every stroke. I think she just realized she was breathing too much, and she started holding her breath for a couple of strokes. Now she's back to breathing every. Got about 3 or 4 strokes left, and she finishes in an 8:09. Again, that one didn't come up, but so she's about 4 seconds over her entry time. That concludes our first heat of the women. We have 5 heats to go. You are watching the Paraswimming World Series USA stop in 2025. This meet is run and hosted by the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee. U.S. Paraswimming is kind of in charge of this one, alongside our partners, World Paraswimming. They've been here to see how we run a meet, give us suggestions, and look at the things that we are running very well, which is just about everything at this swim meet. It's running pretty smoothly. We haven't had any big snafus. We've had a few delays here from either changing out a touchpad or something like that happens at every meet. But that's an unfortunate thing that happened there for Diana. She lost her cap and had to finish another 150 meters without it. I don't think that cost her heat. I think that Heat 2 is up now. I think that was all Danielle Doris's race plan that won her that heat. In addition to some probably pretty incredible conditioning back home in Canada. Got a full heat here in heat number 2. In the water is heat 2 of 6 of the prelims of the 400-meter freestyle. In lane 1, Samantha Griffin. In lane 2, Dylan Klink. In lane 3, Jessica Danae Carpia Pelkestra. In lane 4, Ivy Rose Pohl. In lane 5, Yarly Robles Gonzalez. In lane 6, Elizabeth Harris. In lane 7, Mia Clark. And in lane 8, Lily Dobson. This is heat 2 of 6 of the women's 400-meter freestyle. During some of these swims, I might take Jim Nance's cue from the Masters and just not talk. And just let you enjoy the swimming in front of you. Oh, but I think we know I can't do that for very long. Lane 4, Ivy Rose Pohl from the United States is leading this. She swims in the S9 classification. In lane 4, she entered with a 6:46.6. Let's see where she is at the 100. She is at 1:21.31. And holding a nice, strong, steady lead. The rest of the heat is turning at the 100. Ivy Rose holds her lead. In lane 3 there is Jessica Pelkestra. I'm sorry, Jessica. Nice, long, balanced freestyle. See, she holds that hand out in front for just an instant, and that helps her keep her body balanced, keeps her legs aligned so that they're not causing resistance. We coaches think that we're doing a lot for our swimmers, but our athletes really know how to find their own balance in the pool. Sometimes we just have to sit back and let them figure it out. We can't solve all of it for them. Your early leader coming into the halfway point, Ivy Rose Pohl from the United States. They're pretty much alone in lane 4. She's only being challenged, but with someone maybe 10 meters behind her over in 7. That's Elizabeth Harris. But Ivy Rose is going to turn at the 200 at a 2:53.87. She's got a little bit of a bounce to her stroke. You can see she drops her shoulder right at that full reach, and that causes a little bounce. Boy, if she could rotate her hip pointers, those little bones that stick out at your hip, if you rotate those when you land your stroke, you can stay even longer in the pool. And the longer measurement you can stay in the pool, the more balanced you're going to be on the surface. And it's just like the dominoes. When you set the first one up right, the rest of them fall into place. So if you can control your balance, control your flotation, and keep that as efficient as possible, then every time you push on the water, every effort pushing on the water pushes you forward. definitely getting a little bit better with her hips now. Sometimes that happens as you tire. She definitely should be getting pretty fatigued this far into the race. She's coming up to the 300 point. You can see her hips kind of move back and forth rather than rotating forward, forward, forward in each hand entry. So there's so much to watch, but it took me about 35 years of figuring out the right thing to watch. You want to really find the root of something that can help a swimmer go faster. If Ivy Rose can bring just a little bit more hip rotation right when her fingertips land in the water, she's going to be able to swim with a much longer, more efficient freestyle. But I don't want to take away from what she's doing. She's dominating this heat and having a great swim. That's Ivy Rose Pohl from the U.S. She's at about 4:45 right now. 6:23 was her entry time. I would guess she's going to beat that by something significant. Long and steady stroke there in lane 3. That is Jessica Pelcastre. Looking a little too high up with her head position. And now swimming in lane 2, that's Dylan Klink. We'll see if those two start to pick up their tempo and challenge each other when they get into their last 50. Ivy Rose Pohl, though, it is her race right now. She's got 25 meters to go. Trying to creep up on her over in lane 7 is Mia Clark. Mia's been kind of waiting in the wings there, working hard to hold a position close. She has lessened that gap a little bit, but Ivy Rose Pohl is going to be your Heat 2 winner here in the morning session. She finishes at 6:04. She entered with a 6:23, so you're looking at 18 or 19 seconds faster than her entry time. So that is a significant swim for Ivy Rose. Mia Clark finished at a 6:10. 7:14 was her entry time. So we're seeing some big drops with the women this morning. The guys were a little bit closer to their seed times, or a little over, and it looks like our heat winners, top 3 and 4 in our heats this morning, are breaking through. Finishing now in lane number 6, that's Elizabeth Harris from the United States. She entered with a 7 minutes and finishes with 6:43.2. So again, there's another big improvement from her time. Heading towards the finish now in lane 2, that's Dylan Klink. Good kick tempo. Found her freestyle rhythm. She finishes at a 7:15.2. 7:07 was her entry time, so she's a little bit off on that one. And we've just got, I believe, our lane 8 swimmer, Lily Dobson, left to go. She's from the United States. Lily's just 12 years old. Entered with 8 minutes flat, so 8.00.00. So you can guess that might be a made-up time. That's Samantha Griffin in lane 1 finishing her swim. She entered at a 7:28. She may not have hit that pad hard enough to register. That's Lily Dobson in lane 8 with a little under 25 meters left in her swim. Holding nice, long and steady. See how she holds her hand out in front. On her right arm, she's got a good catch with a high elbow. And that left arm is almost as good as the right. When she finds her balance there, she'll be able to go even faster. But Lily Dobson's just 12 years old, and she's swimming in an international meet here in her home country. Outstanding swim. 8 minutes was her entry time. 8:23 was her final time. Heat 2 clears up there. You can check out their time. Samantha Griffin may not have hit the pad hard enough, but There's backup times, and then there's another set of backup times behind that. So she will end up with an official time. It just didn't make the scoreboard. You can see the points. 492, 408. We saw 800s and a few 900s in the men's 400 freestyle once the event was all finished. So these early heats, that was just heat 2. In order to be in the top 8 right now, you'd have to have 71 points. And when we see these points, they're definitely unofficial. The times next to them and the point scores are unofficial. Heat 2, heat 3. Can't get them all right, Coach John. We're doing a few things procedurally different at this meet than we are used to, based on the advice of World Para Swimming. So every once in a while, getting into those new rhythms makes me make some errors. In the water is heat 3 of 6. In lane 1, Kiara Bauer. In lane 2, Tessa Nagy. In lane 3, Mia Dillingham. In lane 4, Momo Sutton. In lane 5, Diana Maria Torres Claudio. In lane 6, Incy Belen Wendoli Villegas Perez. And in lane 7, Kenley Taylor. Lane 8, Sarah Miranda Corrales. This is heat 3 of 6, the women's 400-meter freestyle. Great swim shaping up here in heat number 3. Our 2 leaders in lanes 4 and 5. That's Momo Sutton in 4 and Diana Torres in lane 5. Swimming nice and long and steady. You don't see them putting out full effort. They're certainly going fast. 122.9 and 122.9. So they are certainly racing together. Behind them, there's some races shaping up, but we'll see how that comes out later. But the two, right now, Momo Sutton's got a slight lead. And by slight, I mean 6/100ths of a second at that first 100. They're into their second 100 of 4. Momo's a veteran of our national team and working hard to stay there. Outstanding to have these young swimmers and their leadership skills on our national team. At the 150 turn, I think she's moved over to second there. Momo Sutton is 2:08.6 and Diana Torres is 2:08.4. So she went about 0.2 of a second faster than Momo in that last 50. Momo's breathing both directions, so that's pretty smart. She's keeping an eye on her competitor to the right, and then breathing, it looks like, on her comfortable side on the left. So she's breathing every 3 arm strokes. So it's a combination of comfort, balance, and keeping an eye on the competition. So we'll hopefully see her watching her competitor next to her going both directions so she can stay in that race. Momo is taking the lead back over, but she's about 4/10 faster on that 50, which put her at 2:53 to Claudia's 2:54. They're continuing to swim with the same tempo, same looking effort. Momo, it looks like you can see just by the splashing, Momo is decided at the 200 to try to make a move. That's a very classic time to start your attack, is coming out of the 200 wall. They're both doing that, and I think Momo at this point is doing it a little more effectively. Submerged well into her turn. She's 45.6 for 3:39.4 at this point in the race. 3:40 for Diana. They're both keeping an eye on each other. I think they're keeping each other in check. And it's just going to be a matter of who goes first now. One of them is going to make an attack. It may happen at the same time. You can see there's definitely faster kicking happening, so they're trying to do it without the other one seeing them. Momo's is a little more effective right now as she's put Diana to her hips. They were shoulder to shoulder. You see two athletes right now with nearly identical, at least from looking, nearly identical impairments in a head-to-head race. So kudos to classification that the even playing field is appearing right in front of us. Momo didn't slow down. It looks like Diana has picked it up. So they are shoulder to shoulder in this 400 freestyle, giving us a great treat. On this, I almost said Saturday, on this Friday morning in Indianapolis, Indiana, USA. You're watching the Paraswimming World Series USA stop in 2025, brought to you by World Paraswimming and the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee as a host. Next heat is a treat for me as a coach. I got to coach one of the swimmers coming up in the lead up to the Paris Paralympic Games in a whole different sport. So I'll tell you about that when we race there. But this race has been great from the start. Momo's got a little edge right now. It looks like she's picked up her arm speed a little bit more effectively than Diana, but Diana is not stopping the fight. She's making a little move here, but it's going to be not quite enough, a little bit late. Momo Sutton winning Heat 3, 5:51.79 to 5:53.19 from Diana Torres of Mexico. Great swimming, and they're going to acknowledge each other. They know that they just raced each other that whole way. Outstanding competitors, outstanding friends. Good finish there in lane number 3. That's Mia Dillingham finishing at a 6:12.62 with Tessa Nagy just behind her at 6:14 for 5th place in the heat. Final finisher, Kiara Bauer there in lane 1 as we pull back and head over to our results. You can see that last 50 where Momo was exactly a second faster, and that's what put Diana to Momo's hips. That was a great illustration of classification and how that works to make the playing field even. Right from the dive, see, they dove together, they broke out together, they turned together. It was truly a race of will at the end there. Maybe a credit to training. Next up is heat number 4. We have 6 total heats, so we have 4, 5, and 6 to go. I think the officials are trying to work something out there. Just a great race there, all the way to the finish, and then you can see these two look at their time and then really acknowledge each other. Once their time sits in, they see that, and they're like, "Oh, you got me this time," but there will be another time. Good high five after that race. Great competitors, great friends from all over the world. World Paraswimming is getting it right and doing the world a favor. Up next is heat number 4 in this women's 400 meter freestyle. So the officials are going to work something out. They've asked the athletes to relax. We got 8 great competitors in this next heat. I am going to probably talk too much about McLean Hermes in lane number 6. I haven't talked to her about where she is in her training. Sometimes it doesn't matter where McLean is in her training. She's so headstrong, she can race well. But she's never neglected her training. I had the treat of coaching her in paratriathlon leading into last year's Paris Games. She just missed making the team, She just missed making the team, but it's her second year in the sport, so we can cut her some slack for sure. Great start out of the whole heat. Let me get these announced, and I'll come back and start talking about the race. In the water is heat 4 of 6 of the women's 400-meter freestyle. In lane 1, Nicole Brelovsky. In 2, Britt Conrad. In lane 3, Ahalia Lettenberger. In lane 4, Paola Rubalcava Nunez. In lane 5, Kara Pennington. In lane 6, McLean Hermes. In lane 7, Casey Freeman. And in lane 8, Emilia Gabriela Gonzalez Chanes. This is heat 4 of 6 of the women's 400 freestyle. One of the things that we did, we being myself and Paratriathlon and McLean, is we kept going to swim meets, even while she was training for Paratriathlon. We wanted to keep that kind of pool speed edge in her training regimen. And she's there in that black cap. Not sure where she is in her training yet. She and I haven't caught up in a month or two, but I'm sure I'll talk to her this afternoon. Hopefully she gets into a final and gets to do this again. McLean swims in the VI, or the visually impaired classification, so you're going to see her coaches on each side of the pool that have a looks like a tennis ball on the end of a post. And what they do is they tap the swimmer just before they turn. Some swimmers like to be tapped 2 strokes out, some 1, some 3. But they work that out and work like a well-oiled machine. They're not leading the race there, but that's a good race for second across 4 swimmers. But in the lead right now, that is lane 5. Kara Pennington from the U.S. She's just 17 and still breaking into this level of swimming. I think she's having a bit of a breakthrough 400. She's entered at a 5:13. We'll see how that holds up. Swimming a very classic distance swimmer style. She's got looks like a 2-beat kick going with her stroke. See how she holds out nice and long. When she rotates that hip, you can kind of see her head lunge forward. She's not moving her head forward. What's actually happening is when you move your hip quickly, it accelerates you forward through the water, and then your stroke just maintains that new speed. So that's what's really happening with a body in freestyle. That's Kara Pennington out in front of this heat. Behind her over in 7 is Casey Freeman, also from the U.S. She's just 18 years old. And then down in the next 2 lanes there, swimming next to each other in, that's 2 and 3. In lane 2, Britt Conrad. In lane 3, Ahalia Lettenberger. So they're past halfway on this. They're definitely into the racing part of the swim. Whether they're out in front by themselves, like Kara is, or if they've got somebody they can see in their sights or feel that they're definitely next to somebody. It was amazing coaching McLean, her sense of hearing and awareness. She knew when somebody was next to her. She just knew. Whether she could see them next to her or not, she knew that they were there. And a VI swimmer will have blacked out goggles also. That's how that playing field is kept even. So there are definitely different degrees of visual impairment. But when you're racing in the pool, your goggles are blacked out. And the officials will come over and take a look at her goggles after she gets out of the pool and verify that they're legal. Kara Pennington handling the heat. Really can't put it any other way. She has been in the lead from start to finish. She's got about 50 meters left after this turn. We'll see if she brings that kick speed up a little bit. No, she's going to stay strong and steady with the same plan. Good idea. Changing to a different stroke just to go faster for a short time could cost you later in the 50. So she's brought up, as I said, a full energy move. So her tempo, upper body and lower body's picked up a little bit for some new speed into the finish. 35 meters left to go for Kara Pennington from the United States. The 17-year-old is entered in this event at 5:13.18. She's going to be right at or possibly a little bit over that time. She hits the wall at a 5:16.02. Great swim for Kara Pennington. She didn't need to have anybody next to her to put out a good race. Second there in lane 7 was Casey Freeman at a 5:22.57. She's just a second off of her entry time. McLean in lane 6 hit the wall 5th at a 5:31.6. And she will, as all these swimmers, will get out of the pool and do a quick debrief with their coach and then head over to the dive well and warm down. In the middle of the pool in lane 4 there, that is Paola Rubalcaba from Mexico, finishing in a 6:07.8. And that finishes our 4th heat. See the final times as the admins are updating scores. They do that pretty frantically. They've got it really down now. Pretty soon, and I don't mean pretty soon today, but pretty soon we're going to have those points tabulated within the timing system, and we can get those up on the board. That they do that in most of the European stops on this series, and we just haven't quite gotten there yet in the U.S. Hopefully we'll have that soon. Kara Pennington dominated that heat, swam right around her best time. So usually the younger the swimmer is, the more willing they are in the 400 to really go for it in the morning in order to make the night. Heat 5. Heat 5 is going to get underway here. Pretty clean start. In the water is heat 5 of 6. In lane 1, May White. In 2, Callie Prochaska. In 3, Morgan Stickney. In lane 4, Silvana Lopez Moreno. In 6, Keegan Knott. In lane 5 is Keegan Knott. Lane 6, Victoria Belando Nicholson. In lane 7, Mary Jibb. And in lane 8, Piper Sadowski. This is heat 5 of 6 of the women's 400-meter freestyle. Tripping over my own tongue here in my 3rd session of talking a lot. Hopefully some of this is interesting to you. This is a pretty even heat in the first 100. We've got in lane 4, that's Silvana Lopez Moreno from Mexico, who has taken a very Australian approach and put herself out in front of the heat and then fallen into pretty close to the same tempo. We'll see what these second splits are. She's at 35.4, and the rest of the heat is right in that 36-37 range. So she is holding a faster pace for both of the first 250s than the rest of the heat. But really, lane 2 through 7 is a part of the race for second so far. I think you're looking at Morgan Stickney there in lane 3. Swimming pretty aggressively. She's definitely going for a good time this morning. When the race is pretty competitive for that A final and B final, you don't have any choice but to really put out a lot of effort in the morning. Silvana in lane 4, though, has got a pretty commanding lead over this heat. I'm not sure they're going to be able to catch her. We're only halfway, but that's for the speeds that this heat is swimming and the aggressive comfort, I'll call it, that I see out of Silvana. She looks like she's really in her own world, in her own pace. She's not struggling to go that speed, is what I'm trying to say. You can see as she comes right at us, she has a good even rotation from hip to hip. She has a little bit of a start-stop in her kick. That can cost you energy. When it feels like you're not kicking, you really have to kick harder in order to restart. So if she can even out that kick over in 5, 6, and 7, there's a pretty good race there with Keegan, Victoria, and Mary. Keegan from the United States, Victoria coming all the way from Australia, and Mary Jibb heading south from Canada for this meet. They've got a good race shaping up. And out in front of this heat is Silvana Lopez Moreno from Mexico. Even as she's beginning to fatigue here in this third 50, she's still holding her stroke pretty far out in front of her head, which, as I talked about before, helps her stay balanced on the surface. And the more balanced you can keep your body up at the surface, the more effective your pull is. She really hasn't had to make a physiological move because she's very close to full throttle the whole swim. If anything, we may see a faster kick when she comes into her last 50. Good catch, high elbows, great shot. We can see how successful she's swimming there. When you have a high elbow in the catch, when you're catching the water, then you're going to pull your hand straight back and not scull out and in and out and in. That costs a lot of energy and doesn't have a big benefit. So she's keeping her same kick rhythm, but you can see that it's definitely more aggressive. She's definitely picked up her pace. Her tempo is much faster, and that's good because the women in 5 and 7 are trying to make a move on her. And here comes lane 4. That's Morgan Stickney. I'm sorry. Lane 3, Morgan Stickney is making a move up there for that second, third place. Don't know if there's enough pool for her. Morgan Stickney has taken over for second, but that is Silvana Moreno from Mexico winning this heat at a 4:53.6. I'm sorry, 4:53.1. Mary Jibb from Canada on that last 50 had the fastest last 50. And we saw that last night as well in the 200 freestyle. She was 4:58.3 for second place in that heat. I think I was calling her Keegan, so Mary, my apologies. Outstanding swim, great second half. Finishing up the heat there in lane 1, that's May White in a time of 5:28.11. Now moving into our 6th and final heat of the women's 400. You can see their times there from the previous heat. Not too much time separated, so we had a couple of good races shape up there, especially the race for second, third, and fourth. A couple of people really made a move, and I apologize again to Mary. I was calling her by another name in her last 50 when she made an incredible move and ended up having the fastest last 50 of the whole heat. Second, maybe to Morgan's 36.7. Mary was 36.9. There's the points. Heat 6. You see the points there. Morgan Stickney, even though not winning her heat, she has 10.30 for points. So we'll, again, the points are unofficial when you see them on your screen or when I talk about them during prelims. So early cheering and anticipation for record swims and anything over 1,000. We got to keep it in check. This is our last heat. In the water is heat 6, the final heat of the women's 400-meter freestyle multi-class S6 to S14. In lane 1, Grace Newfer. In lane 2, Jessica Long. In lane 3, Stephanie Cristiano Zapata. In lane 4, Olivia Chambers. In lane 5, Lakeisha Patterson. In lane 6, Poppy Wilson. In lane 7, Summer Schmidt. And in lane 8, Gia Pergolini. This is the final heat of the women's 400-meter freestyle. So this is the last heat of the women's 400, and well out in front with a very long and in-control stroke in lane 4, that's Olivia Chambers. Olivia Chambers bringing home a medal in this event from Paris last summer is showing us why. Olivia, from a coach's standpoint, I think the best way to describe her is a gamer. She is just a gamer. She swims and is going to school at the University of Northern Iowa. Her coach, Ben, is a very active coach in the Paralympic movement in the United States, and big shout out to Ben. And you and I, if you're watching, you better be watching. Unless you're in class, of course. That's Olivia Chambers out in front at the 150. She is getting some challenge from Lakeisha Patterson from Australia, which you would definitely expect. Lakeisha's actually moving up slightly on Olivia, so we'll see if Olivia sees that in her turns, or she gets that feeling, uh-oh, somebody's creeping up on me, I gotta pick up my pace. Because she definitely has another gear to go to at any given time. Even when you think Olivia's at her fastest, there seems to be another gear in there that she pulls out as needed. But it's Olivia and Lakeisha right now. US versus Australia. Lakeisha is stepping up and getting a little bit closer. This is the middle of the race where people will make a move early sometimes if they have confidence in their training, or if they just see a little bit of back off or a little bit of weakness in whoever's leading in front of them. 2:54.42 for Olivia at that split, 36.9. Lakeisha is 37.2, so Olivia is still holding just under a second faster per 50. Just take a chance to watch two great swimmers in their event. See our outside swimmers and another race forming there in 6 and 7, but right now we can just watch and enjoy and take a little clinic from Olivia and Lakeisha as they go into their last 100 of this 400 freestyle. This is our final heat. They are swimming to get into the A final, and it's a double-edged sword of excitement when you get to say to your swimmer, great job in the 400, you went fast enough, you get to do it again. Olivia Chambers, and this is Lakeisha right here from Australia. Swimming a very good 400 freestyle. Both of them are putting this together well. Olivia has a little bit faster time going in and looks like coming out of this heat. She really hasn't brought that kick in to play. She's probably saving that for a 400 tonight or for a later race this morning. Because when she does turn on her kick, it's impressive. Very, very impressive. She might be holding that back. 4:45.32 for Olivia Chambers. 36.3 on the last 50. Lakeisha definitely made a move, just a half a second slower in the last 50, 36.85 for second in the heat at a 4:49 flat, or 4:49.00. Third in that heat, up in lane 1. Never forget about Grace Newfer, 4:51.82. She is faster than her entry time, so don't know if that's a lifetime best or just a best on where she thought she would be at this meet. Jessica Long finishes there in 7th place at a 5:18:34. Entered at a 4:48. So I think Jessica is getting in some great race practice coming into the World Series meet. She's admittedly not in her top form, but she doesn't want to miss out on an opportunity to race. So she's here doing a great job for herself and Team USA in showing a presence. But that 400 freestyle there, that is all Olivia Chambers and Lakeisha Patterson from Australia. As their turn into the last 100 and the finish. The next event will be event number 11, the men's 50-meter backstroke multi-class S1 to 5. There is one heat. Got nearly a full heat and only heat. There are enough here to definitely field a final tonight. So if they keep it legal, they could all be invited back for the final this evening. Dylan yesterday showed us a record in a couple of his events. Young Dylan is just 12 there. That's Gabriel from Brazil. Definitely a nation's favorite at the Paralympic Games. A seasoned veteran. Gabriel has done so much for the sport and for the Paralympic movement in his racing, and we're glad he made the trip here to the U.S. It'll be interesting for you if you haven't seen. There's a little grip on the end of that towel. Gabriel will bite down on that grip, and his coach will hold that very tight so that he can pull himself up for a backstroke start. And then you'll see him go through this tiny little hole at the surface and kind of disappear underwater and dolphin kick. So there he goes through the surface. He's still with the leaders at their shoulders, but he's about 2 feet underwater in his dolphin kick. He's going to dolphin kick the whole way. In the water is heat 1 of 1. Lane 1, Cougar Clifford. Lane 2, Dylan Measy. Lane 3, Gabriel Dos Santos. Lane 4, Marcos Jimenez. In lane 5, Ruben Rangel Lopez. Lane 6, Alberto Caroli Abarza Diaz. And in lane 7, Emiliano Lugo Ceja. So even though he's not even on your screen yet, and I don't want to take away from this guy's performances that have already finished 1-2 in the heat, Gabriel is probably swimming closer to the world record in his classification than the rest of the swimmers in the heat. So you will definitely see Gabriel make the final, probably the top seed in the final based on points. There he comes in and finishes with the top back of his head in a 102.70. 4th place in the heat, but probably 1st place in the points in that event. 41.9 was your heat winner. That is Jimenez from Dominican Republic. Outstanding swims across. We've just got 2 guys left. Coming into the wall now is Alberto from Mexico, and then Cougar Clifford up in lane 1. Nearest the bottom of your screen, there's Cougar. Keeping his body and leg line in a nice straight line. Symmetrical upper body. Coming in, and he's going to make that last reach for the wall, and Clifford finishes in 150.30, which is a little off of his time. Congratulations to our 50 backstrokers. Check out the times there. Nice finish. He kind of took that dive a little bit early. That little dive move that backstrokers make to finish
And then you've got Gabriel coming in here. And his finish is the same every time. He's got sight on the wall, and he knows to do a last little blast and get his head on that touchpad. Seasoned veteran. Alberto. Alberto takes the lead of the points on that one. They swim in different classifications, so Alberto's time in his classification gives him more points than Gabriel's time in his classification. 778, 721. All the way down to 8 points for Emiliano. Outstanding efforts. As I always said, always forward. Sometimes it doesn't matter how fast you're going, as long as you're going forward. Next up will be our women's 50-meter backstroke. Next event is the women's 50-meter backstroke. There is one heat. Heat 1. So as part of the technical procedures, after they blow their series of first whistles, I, as the announcer, announce what heat we are on. This is heat 1 of 1. And then they have another set of whistle blasts for the athletes to get in the pool and to set for their start. They have all kinds of methods of starting here. A couple coaches hanging onto people's feet against the wall. The other rule is their toes have to be under the surface at the start. We had a couple of swimmers starting with the strap or rope that they're biting down on so they can pull themselves up for a backstroke start. Lane 4. This is event 12, heat 1 of 1, 50-meter backstroke. In lane 1, Virginia Hernandez. In lane 2, Gray Rutledge. In 3, Miliane Elvico Araujo. In lane 4, Yaretsi Hernandez Garcia. In lane 5, Leanne Smith. In lane 6, Larissa Rodriguez. And in lane 7, Eden Schroeder. It's a mouthful of names. Trying to get in so I can call the finish. Outstanding finish by Yaretsi Garcia from Mexico. She finished in a 51:15. 51:15. Those of you math geeks, that's a palindrome. When you get to the middle and it mirrors to the end. 51:15. Great swim for Yaretsi Hernandez from Mexico. She entered at a 52.8 also, so she is a little over a second faster. We'll see where the rest of the heat finishes with their points. We have two women in lane 1 and 7 still finishing. About 5 meters to go there for Virginia from Mexico in lane 1. And now about 5 meters to go for Eden Schroeder from the United States. Virginia is going to hit the wall there in a 1:44.55, which is 9 seconds faster than her entry time. And Eden Schroeder at a 1:48. I'm sorry, she entered at a 1:48 and she finishes at a 1:49.32. So congratulations to our women's 50 backstroke swimmers. And they blow the whistle, which gives them the cue that everybody has finished and they can head for the exit. Right from the start there, Yaretsi, it was very clear that she was going to win this race. She got away fast. She was underwater quite well. Great underwater kicking. And then up strong, steady. She does take a look for the wall. And wow, that was an abrupt finish. It'll be great someday when they legalize the cap that has a little bit of cushion in it for the athletes in that classification. So they don't have to be quite as cautious when they finish. Yaretsi was not cautious at all. Our next event is event number 13, the men's 100-meter breaststroke multi-class, SB 4 through 9 and 11 to 14. There are 6 heats. We got 6 swimmers in heat 1 of 6. 100-meter breaststroke. As if I don't have enough to talk about, they give me a breaststroke race. You're going to see probably a different style of breaststroke in every single swimmer. So there are some classic things. There are some things that they did in the 80s that people are still doing with a dolphin motion within their stroke. Not a dolphin kick, but kind of a dolphin rhythm to their stroke. A lot of the swimmers that are of shorter stature will not breathe every stroke, which is a very intelligent way to swim the breaststroke in their situation, in their classification. If you keep your head steady and don't bring it up every single stroke, you can actually make your body longer than it would be if over the average of the race. So I think we'll probably see that from Aldo in lane 2, most likely in lane 5 from Alex Cooper. This is an all-Americas heat. Swimmers from Mexico, the United States, Canada, and Chile. So there really is no standard breaststroke. Everybody does it a little bit differently that suits either their body or their choice of how to swim. Heat 1. Almost forgot to announce the heat. They'll usually give me the evil eye from the pool deck after I miss one of those. I think I've only missed one in this session. Might be a record for me. In the water is heat 1 of 6 of the men's 100-meter breaststroke multi-class, SB 4 through 9, SB 11 to 14. In lane 2, Aldo Arteaga Perez. In lane 3, Nicolas Guevara Montes. In lane 4, Carlos Alejandro Roca Hernandez. In lane 5, Alex Cooper. In lane 6, Sebastian Masabi. In lane 7, Bastian Montesinos. This is heat 1 of 6. All right, we got that part finished, and now we can get on with it and see a lane 7 that is way out in front of the heat. He's already turned. It's Bastian Montesinos from Chile. Chile got a big boost in interest in the Paralympic movement as they hosted the Pan American Games last, I think 2 years ago, I think it was. I was a part of the karate national governing body at the able-bodied Pan American Games, and then the Pan American Games came in, and it was in Santiago, Chile, an incredible host city. And that game served as an inspiration to the nation of Chile, and certainly to Bastian Montesinos from Chile. He's just 16 years old, and he's your Heat 1 leader at 137.55. Getting word from above and below that I may be mispronouncing Kenley Teller's last name, and I certainly apologize for that. You don't always have people proactively letting you know how to get it right, so I'm going to do all I can to get it right the rest of the meet. So my apologies to Kenley and her fan base. Thanks for watching, and I do appreciate the feedback. I want to get it right, just like all these athletes want to get it right in the pool. Mad respect for the feedback. We finished up our Heat 1 of the men's 100 backstroke, SB 4 to 6. I'm not sure why they're not clearing the heat. Now they're clearing the heat. A little extra delay there, forcing John to talk more. Just what you want. A little recap of that. Good underwater pulls across the pool, but just by a mile exaggerating Bastian's finish and race. Hopefully that was the best time for him. He had a little smile and a little shrug after he saw his time. That usually means they're pretty happy with their times when that happens. We got a full heat coming up in heat number 2. I think they may be waiting for a lane 5 swimmer to show up. Or maybe lane 5's just a no-show. There's a lot of things procedurally that you don't see on these swim meets and on these live streams. The swimmers actually need to report to what we call the ready room or the staging area 15 minutes before their event starts. If they're not there 15 minutes before their event starts with a very good reason, they are not allowed to swim the race and they will be scratched from that event. So it's very important. The swimmers don't just have to train hard and race fast and have fun and be at their best all the time. They also have to show up on time for their events. I have no idea if that's the case in this heat. That doesn't matter, but just a little background for you for what these athletes need to do before they race. Sometimes the referee says relax athletes when they need to do something procedurally behind the blocks, and I think they're just informing them what they're working on, or they're triple checking that everybody's in the right lane. Every once in a while, nerves will also have you come out to the wrong starting block. I don't think that's the case, but the administrative official there is checking his list. Make sure everybody's where they're supposed to be. There he is. Now he's checking in with the table and the starters. And we'll see we won't know what's happening, but that doesn't stop me from speculating. So the officials have gotten together for a little meeting to clear something up before we start our next heat. Lots of little side conversations and making sure they're setting procedures. They're now talking to the administrative officials at the table. You see our 2 representatives from the IPC there in their navy blue shirts. The head of IPC swimming, typing away. Very, very busy human being, making sure all of these series meets and everything is lining up and moving forward. He does an incredible job for the Paralympic movement as a whole, and specifically for the sport of swimming. So now it looks like they're wrapping up what they needed to do. I thought they looked like they were wrapping up what they needed to do. And we still have a little bit of a delay. And they certainly have the right announcer. I'll just keep on talking until they get this moving forward. It's not worth speculating what they're working out because there could be one of 1,000 things not lined up. No matter how thorough you are in preparation, the human factor is a part of sport. And sometimes we have little delays as things need to be relined up. I'm going to refrain from even guessing. this is a long thing, but apparently somebody isn't where they were supposed to be, or they are where they're not supposed to be, and the officials are figuring that out for us. It looks like they're all busy helping work this out.
There was a disqualification in event 13, heat 1, lane 3. There was a disqualification in event 13, heat 1, lane 4. There was a disqualification in event 13, heat 1, lane 6. And there was a disqualification in event 13, heat 1, lane 7.
I don't know if that's what they're working out, but that was quite a few disqualifications. Looks like he's about ready to go. He's clearing it, making sure everybody's ready. He's going to blow that whistle, and then I'm going to get on the PA and say heat 2. All right. He had his whistle in hand. We were close. I'd love to play you some music, but we don't want to broadcast any copywritten music. That would cost us all. Cost me my position here. Probably cost a little money. So we don't generally have music running during the preliminary sessions. We almost always have music in the evening when we march the athletes out. Again, possibly ready. Looks like he's ready to go.
Heat 2.
So we've made it all the way to heat 2. That was a timeline cost. We're only about 6 minutes behind, and that took about 7 minutes to solve, so we were ahead. Since they're making up the time, and here's where I will eat crow, as they say. Lane 5 was ready to go. He just waits for the whistles to swim over to his lane, and he doesn't in the water start. So I stand corrected about any implications of a no-show. He was not a no-show. He was ready to go. But hopefully that knowledge helped you out to know in the future what can happen as they check in 15 minutes before their race. All kinds of different styles of breaststroke here. We've got our leader swimming in a pretty classic breaststroke. That's Gianni Mercado at lane 4. He is 26 years old. Swims representing the United States. He was 147.99 in his entry time. Great breaststrokers are always out fast. He's being challenged over in, it looks like, the outside lanes by Jared and Marcos. And then he's got the two guys right next to him. Turns at the 50 in a 48.21. Just behind him over in lane 8, that's Jared Silva from Mexico, 49.01. So they're just about a second apart from each other. He's holding on to that lead pretty steadily. Now he's got about a body length on the outside lanes. That's Gianni Mercado out in front of the Heat 2 men's 100-meter breaststroke. Nice and long in his stroke. Shooting forward, one more stroke, shoot into that wall. The rule, if you've got two hands, you need to finish with two hands. If you got one, you got to finish with one. If you're swimming breaststroke without any, then you'd probably finish with your head. But you got to finish with the most of what you got. Two hands, one hand. or with your head. Great finish. Gianni Mercado seems to be happy with his time, which he should be, 1:42.29, which is 5.5 seconds faster. Definitely, it's great to see those smiles. A lot of these kids are kids. They're all kids to me. A lot of these kids are tired. They're in their second day, probably in their 7th or 8th race over 2 days so far, and we're only at prelims. So we don't see a lot of smiles after the races. They're definitely tired. But he's got a lot of smiles and a thumbs up. I think they're a little early on this one. Gianni Mercado from the U.S., 1:42.29. Marcus Vital behind him at 1:46.10. And Gonzalez from Mexico, 1:48.40. A couple of coaches were a little overzealous in getting ready. They were already stepping up. There's so many different whistles that happen at a swim meet, and they all mean something completely differently to the athletes. Gianni was off the block first one up swimming. He was getting challenged there by Jared at the turn, but then he kind of picked up his tempo again and took over the race. Coming up is heat number 3. Looks like we're administratively ready, and everybody is out of the pool. A full heat coming up. There was a disqualification in event 13, heat 2, lane 7 and lane 8. So sometimes during breaststroke, you'll start to see some disqualifications, and getting those correct administratively is very important. They want to be very precise in what might be being disqualified. Heat 3. Heat 3 is stepping up on the blocks. They want to be very precise in how they report, because coaches are going to want to come over and hear a very clear explanation of why their athlete was disqualified. If that is satisfactory, then the athlete's coach will accept it, say thank you very much, and they'll go home and work on that infraction. If they don't believe that was done, they can submit a written protest, and then a panel of officials will look over that and see if they accept the protest based on how the event was disqualified. In the pool is event number 13, men's 100-meter breaststroke. Heat 3, in lane 1, Mateus Brambilla. In lane 2, Antonio Fricano. In lane 3, Cirrus Kia. In lane 4, Vincent McGill. In lane 5, Jesus Silvestre Rincon Magdaleno. In lane 6, Andrew Mondojano. In lane 7, Enoch Seskitende. In lane 8, Lucas Colada. This is heat 3 of 6. So that gave me a mouthful there. I hope I got all your names right. It seems I'm messing up the simple ones and getting the complicated ones. Out in lane 6, Andrew Mondojano, who just had a good 400 freestyle, has come back for more. He's just 14 years old. He's leading this 6th heat. Good race out in the lanes 7 and 8 there on your screen. But this is first place in this heat, Andrew Maldahano in lane number 6, 1:34.26. He entered at a 1:39, so it's a nice time drop for him. Might be too tired to smile about it, but he certainly is continuing to stare at it and make sure that's real. Lane 2, Mateus Brambilla from Brazil was 1:40.17, 6 seconds faster than his entry time. check out the swimmer that you're watching for there on the board. Pretty close race from 134 to 154 for a multi-class event. Heat 4 coming up. But let's take a quick recap of 3. Andrew led it from start to finish. He was well ahead there at the 50 turn. Good underwater pull and kick. Good fast tempo. Keeps his head in line when he shoots forward. Really buries his head there for that straight line finish. Andrew Maldonado, 14 years old, dropped 5 or 6 seconds in that race. Got to be happy with that.
Heat 4.
This is going to be heat 4, and then we've got 2 more heats after this. A full heat. Hopefully they can get rid of some of the conversations happened behind the blocks. It sounded like some of the swimmers were confused if they had said take your marks or not.
In the pool is heat 4 of 6 of the men's 100-meter breaststroke. In lane 1, Miguel Lopez. In lane 2, Charlie G. Michel. In lane 3, Noah Jaffe. In lane 4, Ty Austin. In lane 5, Antoine Saint-Germain. In lane 6, Zach Shattuck. In lane 7, Juan Ruiz. In lane 8, Sebastian Guzman Ortiz. This is heat 4 of 6. Eden Schroeder in a previous heat broke the American and America's record in S150 backstroke with a time of 1:49.32. The American record in the 50-meter backstroke S2 was also broken by Gray Rutledge with a time of 1:11.72. Congratulations. Didn't get a chance to call that race because I got to call some American and America's records. Outstanding swims. First in that heat was Noah Jaffe, obviously, at a 1:25.26. Noah had entered with a 1:26, so he's faster than that time. Second in the heat was Charlie G. Michel from Canada, 1:25.38. And third, Antoine Saint-Germain from Canada, also from Canada, 46.6 on his second 50 for a 1:26.64. That was heat number 4. So they're keeping me busy up here. I'm looking at 3 different screens, watching the races, keeping attention of the officials, watching to make sure everything's going smooth, keeping everybody informed the best that I can, and announcing those records. There's nothing like it. There was a disqualification in event 13, heat 4, lane 8. So it looks like it's going to take probably in the mid to high 500s of points for these guys, with heat 5 and 6 still to swim. Noah Jaffe there in a really good race. I'm apologetic that I couldn't call it. I always love it when I get to call a quick race, but we had some other announcements that I needed to make for the venue. Heat 5 coming up. It's a full heat. All athletes representing the Americas: Mexico, United States, Chile, and Canada. Heat 5. Heat 5 of 6 is in the water of the men's 100-meter breaststroke. In lane 1, Eduardo Munoz. In lane 2, TJ Donnan. In lane 3, Evan Wilkerson. In lane 4, Nestor Hernandez. In lane 5, Noah Bush. In lane 6, Morgan Ray. In lane 7, Cameron Chambers. And in lane 8, Jamal Hill. This is Heat 5 of 6. So I almost started calling the play-by-play there with the vending mic on. But what I was saying was just an absolute explosive start from Morgan Ray. It was outstanding. He just blew everybody away off the blocks. Holding his own against this heat in a multi-class event. This is an outstanding swim for Morgan Ray. He came in here really ready, leaning in to attack this quadrennium. Quadrennium being the 4 years leading into the Paralympic Games in LA. He is a man positively possessed with his process. Gonna finish in the top 3 in this heat as well. First in the heat there goes to Noah Bush, 121.8. Second, Nestor Hernandez from Mexico with a 122.1. And 122.42, Morgan Ray. He swims down at the Bowl School in Jacksonville, Florida. Shout out to he and his team of coaches, his team of family, his spiritual team for sure. Such a force in his life. And what a great swim from a great swimmer. Paris Paralympian. Third in his heat, but I think that's going to measure up for a pretty good finals place. Morgan Ray. That heat's cleared, and we're on to our final heat. They don't have the points quite tabulated. They're working on that for us. But see Morgan just blast away from the blocks, and then against the heat he had to play a little catch-up, but he wasn't playing catch-up. He was blasting all the way through his race. Fantastic turn. Right into that finish. All 3 of those guys in front just racing. 2 Team USA teammates and a friend from Mexico next. See, and that's why I was highlighting that. That was, look at what he did. 911 points for Morgan Ray in that swim. So I hope you don't think that I was slighting the other athletes, but comparatively to get to the points, 22-year-old Morgan Ray from Jacksonville, Florida, really dominated that swim had it been all swimmers in his classification. Next up is our last heat of this event. Men's 100 breaststroke, SB 4 through 9 and 11 to 14. All the different classifications are numbered from 1 to 14 in swimming, 1 being the most impaired, and then 14 entering into the intellectual impairments. There was a disqualification in event 13, heat 5, lane 8. So they've given me another disqualification. As part of the rules and procedure at a meet, you need to announce a disqualification. That alerts the coach. Heat 6. That alerts the coach or the athlete that they may have been disqualified, and then they can come over to the administrative referee and get the detailed explanation. If they're happy with that explanation, they're certainly not happy with the disqualification, then they accept it and they move on. If they want to, they have the option to protest a disqualification, and then that sets in motion a whole other set of parameters and procedures to get to the end result of either overturning a disqualification or accepting it. Water off a duck's back, as they say, and just you got to accept those as they come unless there's a good argument against. Don't think we'll see disqualifications in this heat. These guys are pretty darn fast and pretty seasoned breaststrokers.
Out in front in the heat is Ricky Betar from Australia. He's certainly come a long way to swim these races. He was in the low 30s in that first 50. He's going to definitely be a force in here at the 50. Somebody's going to have to make a tempo change to their stroke rate, and that is happening next to him. But I don't think there's enough pool for anybody to challenge Ricky. Nathan Hendricks from South Africa made a big effort, and up there in lane 1, Aiden Stivers from the United States pushed himself up into second place, but that was Ricky all the way from Australia and all the way in the lead of that 100-meter breaststroke, 1:12.39. Second to him was Aiden from the United States up in lane 1 at a 1:12.95. Third, right next to Ricky, was Nathan Hendricks from the Republic of South Africa, 1:13.95. So an international field here at the Paraswimming World Series USA stop on the series in 2025. It's an important stop. It's going to be a more and more important stop as we go. Morgan Ray, he is your top qualifier by points with 9:11. And then we've got a couple of guys in the 800s, 4 or 5 in the 7s. And what they'll do then is parse those out to the top 8, 18 and unders for a youth heat. The youth also have the option of swimming in the big heat if they qualify. The next event is event number 14, women's 100-meter breaststroke multi-class SB 4 through 9 and 11 to 14. Heat 1. Great start for this heat. I'll announce them and come back to a couple more records and a couple disqualifications. There is a disqualification in event number 13, heat 4, lane 8, and a disqualification in event 13, heat 5, lane 8. Congratulations to Eden Schroeder, who broke the American and America's S1 50-meter backstroke record with a 1:49.32. Also in that heat, Gray Rutledge in the S2 50 backstroke broke that record as well with a 1:11.72. Congratulations. So we're now into the women's 100 breaststroke. In the water is heat 1 of 7 of the women's event 14 100-meter breaststroke. Lane 3, Dylan Klink. Lane 4, Clements Parra. In lane 5, Yarly Robles Gonzalez. And in lane 6, Larissa Rodriguez. That 50 turn out of lane 3, Dylan Klink is in the lead. 1:07.19, I believe, was her split. Again, in these earlier heats, you'll see just as many different breaststrokes as you'll see in the later heats. It's Dylan Klink out in front of the swim, in front of the rest of her competitors. The rule in breaststroke is that the stroke needs to be as symmetrical as your abilities can provide. And you can see Dylan Klink swimming with a quite symmetrical kick and then a one-arm pull with her other arm to the side. That is completely legal in her classification, in case you're wondering. And then you'll see Dylan come in with a one-hand finish, where you may be used to seeing a double-hand finish. Got about a stroke left, and then that reach for the wall. She finishes in first in that heat with a 226.74. And she entered at a 3:14.2 and just went 226. So that was a heck of a great effort and great result for Dylan. Just behind her, Clements from Canada entered at a 2:55.6. And Clements did not hit that pad probably hard enough for it to register, but we'll get an official time for her in the results. Our last athlete finishes there in lane number 5. That's Yarly Robles Gonzalez from Mexico. Larissa Rodriguez is appearing second in that heat from Brazil. Congratulations, Larissa. Heat 1 clears out of the pool. It was pretty clear that, speaking of clearing in the pool, Dylan Klink was clearly going to win that heat really from the start. She had a great start, great momentum forward, and finished strong. Oh, lifted her head there a little bit. Coach John muscles got flexed. And hopefully she can keep her head in line with her body on the next time she gets to finish a race like that. On a close one, if it would have been close, it would have gone to the swimmer that keeps their head down. Heat 2 is coming up. Got a full heat. Everybody representing the countries from the Americas, Mexico, US, Canada. No Canadians in this one, I apologize. Chilean. We are putting some technical equipment out behind the starting blocks. We'll see what they're building for us. What he's placing is a strobe light. So this athlete has asked to have a strobe light, or the strobe light was not working for that block. Light travels faster than sound, so even if you don't need it based on an ability or disability, you can ask for a strobe light on your lane. And if that flash gets you off the block faster than the sound, take it. You see that right at the beep, there was a flash. She must have just requested that as he's putting it back away. Heat 2 underway of the women's 100-meter breaststroke. This is heat 2 of 7, the women's 100-meter breaststroke. In lane 1, Ince Belen Villegas. In lane 2, Yuretsi Hernandez Garcia. In lane 3, Lila Boykins. In lane 4, Jessica Dene Carapia Pelicastre. In lane 5, Maria Fernanda Paz Vasquez. In lane 6, Lily Dobson. In lane 7, Isadora Donoso. In lane 8, Ibeth Solario Cuevas. This is heat 2 of 7 of the women's 100-meter breaststroke. So event 14 is well underway. Good race behind for second place there with those two. All these swimmers bringing a little bit of a different style based on the style they want to use within the rules and within the style of what they can do in their classification level. Out in front there in lane 4, that's Jessica Carapia from Mexico. She swims in the SB6 class. Sometimes you just see the classification being S, and that S stands for swimming, and when there's a B in there, it stands for swimming breaststroke, and then their classification number. Some athletes will have a different classification for freestyle and backstroke than they would have for breaststroke, so they may be classified at different classification levels depending on the stroke they're swimming. So this is SB, S being swimming, B being breaststroke, and then their classification number. Jessica has taken this heat start to finish 2:18:37 at the finish. Just behind her in second, Maria Paz Vasquez from Mexico, 2:20.38. And in lane 7, Isadora Donoso from Chile in 2:22.89. Just got last finisher here in lane number 8. That's Ibeth Solario Cuevas from Mexico. She keeps her head nice and in line and down. Ooh, she looked up before the finish, but that was her breathing rhythm stroke. So I'm sure she's going to hear about that from her coach. Couldn't you kept it down one more stroke for the finish? I can hear the coach from here. Figuratively, not literally. That wraps up our second heat. We'll see how they got away. Even though she didn't have the dive start advantage, she definitely swam herself right to the front of the heat. That's Jessica from Mexico who won the heat. She took over the lead at about 35-40 meters. She swims with a couple of strokes per breath and gets in here for that two-hand touch. Next up will be heat number 3. Jessica looks up for her time. Now we're reaching further around the globe in this heat as we have Mexico, USA, Egypt, Canada represented. Shout out to any of you that are up at this hour in Egypt, watching and supporting your swimmers. Egypt has got such a rich swimming background, and one event that's near and dear to my heart, they are so good in Egypt at open water swimming. That was one of the events that I coached at the Olympic Games, and I've been around the globe walking the earth talking about open water swimming. Hopefully we're going to see a bigger presence in Paralympic swimming in the open water. There's a race in Sicily every year, I believe. Heat 2, 3. Oh. I've been told it's 6:20, so it's prime time in Egypt. I hope the entire nation is supporting their swimmer. So hopefully they are all in for Alaya Taufik. In the pool is heat 3 of 7 of the women's 100-meter breaststroke. Alma Valentina Jimenez Pinedo in lane 1. Mia Dillingham from the U.S. in lane 2. Ayala Taufik in lane 3. Nesbeth Marlene Vasquez Mieja in lane 4. In lane 5, Lisbeth Ramirez Caballero. And in lane 6, Shelby Newkirk. In lane 7, Lorena Elizabeth Puente Torres. And in lane 8, Emma Roberts. This is heat 3 of 7. There was a disqualification in event 14, heat 2, lanes 1 and 2. So back there in that previous heat, there were a couple of disqualifications. The officials, once I make that announcement, write down the time because they officially have 30 minutes to come over to get clarification of the disqualification and possibly enter a protest. Protest is just a kind of a strong word for asking for an explanation or a further explanation and arguing their point that it may not be disqualification. Leading our heat number 3, that's Emma Roberts from the United States, 16 years old. She entered at a 2:16.8, which she is way ahead of. So hopefully this is a breakout swim for her and not just a seasonal entry time. But that's Emma Roberts coming in lane 8, first place in this heat, 1:52.88, which is certainly faster than her 2:16 entry time. And then in lane 4 and 5, that's Nesbeth and Lisbeth from Mexico, finishing in second and third. And 159.0 and 159.4, with Lisbeth just edging her out for second place. Great swimming across the pool. There's as many styles of breaststroke as there are breaststrokers in a meet, so they give us a lot to talk about. They also give me a lot to talk about with all the disqualifications and the records. And you don't get to tell a lot of stories at these meets, which you probably are very thankful for. You're allowed to do an underwater pull and an underwater kick on the start, and you can see that that was done very well by Emma Roberts out in lane number 8. And you can see that many of the swimmers in the Paralympic meets will breathe one time for every 2 strokes. I think that was a new best time. She looks very, very happy about that. Congratulations to Emma Roberts on a big time drop as we move towards heat number 4 of 7 now. The last few swimmers are exiting the pool. Our official will blow the whistle and I'll let them know what heat we're doing. There's a lot of hurry up and wait at every swim meet. Looks like we have another request for a strobe light as the technical aid, equipment aid, is coming over to lane 6 for a strobe. Athletes are getting ready to go, going through their pre-race routines. Sometimes that's just moving around behind the block. Sometimes you see the athletes activating their muscles at the surface by slapping their legs. You remember the famous Michael Phelps arm swing up on the blocks. Who could forget that? A lot of it is routine, not just physical preparation. Could be superstition. Heat 4.
In the pool is heat 4 of 7. Lane 1, Caitlin Trevor. Lane 2, Ivy Rose Pohl. Lane 3, Victoria Santiago. Lane 4, Tessa Nagy. Lane 5, Chloe Cederholm. Lane 6, Melinda Shepet Edwards. In lane 7, Kenley Teller. In lane 8, Ruby Stevens. This is heat 4 of 7. So heat 4 is well underway. It's a very good start from lane 5. Chloe Cederholm. A couple of people in the heat have begun to catch or take over a little bit. Lane 3, that's Victoria Santiago from Puerto Rico, who has moved into the lead of this heat. But Chloe really challenged that start. Victoria is keeping that nice long stroke, but Chloe over in lane number 5 has picked up her tempo a little bit. Victoria has responded. I think Victoria is going to hold on to the lead of this heat. Heat 4 out of 7. She's here all the way from Puerto Rico. I'm sure it is sunny and beautiful today. Grabbing a Friday beach day maybe in Puerto Rico. She finishes at a 146.32. Just behind her, Chloe Cederholm in second place, 148.86. And then in third, up in lane number 7, that's Kenley Teller at a 151.88.
Got just one swimmer left here in lane number 8. She's got about 20 meters left. That is Ruby Stevens from Canada. Ruby's got the ability to keep her body in one nice long straight line. That's as efficient as it gets with the style of breaststroke that she is swimming. Also, you see her turn her head so she doesn't have to take the mass of her head out of alignment. Very intelligent method of swimming breaststroke. She's got that good skull out and in, nice and strong. Very strong shoulders in order to support a stroke like that. Great job. Outstanding swim, Ruby Stevens from Canada. She entered at a 1:59.6, finished at 3:01. Next up will be heat number 5. As the heat 4 athletes make their way out of the pool. Getting some screen time. There they are in their start. See, Chloe really just popped out in front of the heat and then put the pressure on the rest of the heat. Victoria Santiago from Puerto Rico responded. Chloe held the lead till about until about 55 meters were left. We're checking something out administratively again as we ready for heat number 5. We have entered into the African continent for this race in lane 1. Condoleezza from Uganda, all the way from Uganda. She's actually got an entire team here. It's exciting to see. Heat 5. So this is heat 5 coming up. Those of you Bulldogs, that's not University of Georgia for her country code. That is Uganda. In the water is heat number 5 of 7. Lane 1, Condoleezza Nyamasi Nakazibwe. In lane 2, Piper Sadowski. In lane 3, Diana Jimenez. In lane 4, Jimena Gonzalez. In lane 5, Ellie Marks. In lane 6, Momo Sutton. In lane 7, Ahalia Lettenberger. And in lane 8, Hannah Sloan. This is heat 5 of 7. So, as I trip over some of the names I've known for years, I apologize, Ahalia. Pretty even heat. We got a lot of swimmers at all different parts of their swimming journey. We've got quite a few people in this heat with all kinds of experience, namely Ellie Marks in lane number 5. Paralympic gold medalist, Paralympic world record holder in multiple strokes, in multiple distances. She's in a portion of her training that is really kind of getting back into the groove. I won't say getting back into shape because Ellie is always in great condition as a sergeant in the United States Army in the World Class Athlete Program. She and her husband drove to this meet, so they made a road trip out of it from Colorado Springs, where she is stationed at Fort Carson. This heat, though, number 6, it looks like, is going to finish. That is Momo Sutton, 54.7 in her second 50, 142.86. Diana Jimenez Martinez from Mexico was second at 143.29. And third in that heat was Piper Sadowski, 146.99. Ellie Marks was fifth there, 153.2. Fourth was Condoleezza Nakazibwe from Uganda at 147.22. Good swimming. Really good swimming across the heat. Wow, lane 4, Ximena Gonzalez really blew away the heat at the initial start right off the blocks. And then kind of held on for a good portion of that race. There's Ellie Marks congratulating her competition, as she always does. Ellie loves competing, and I think she loves her competitors more than most people do, which is just outstanding. There was a disqualification in event 14, heat 5, lane 1. So as soon as they give me those DQs, as we call them in swimming, stands for disqualification, I need to announce that. And then that gives coaches or representatives an opportunity to come over and get clarification. Heat 6. So heat 6 is up on the blocks. I'm sorry, that's heat 7. I goofed that one up. I stand corrected. This is heat 7 in the water. Gotta own it. Correcting my correction, this is heat 6. Heat 6 of 7 in the pool. In lane 1, Gabby Farinas. In lane 2, Rebecca Eloisa Luego. In lane 8, Diana Maria Torres Claudio. In lane 4, Elizabeth Smith. In lane 5, Dariana Stefana Makeda Andrade. In lane 6, Alejandra Navarro Hernandez. In lane 7, Abby Kershaw. In lane 8, Brianna Naomi Espinoza Mata. This is heat 6 of 7. The only confused person about this heat is me, your announcer. I forgot to mark the previous heat announced, so that's why I was skipping around a little bit. Well out in front and in a commanding lead in lane 5 of heat 6. That's Dariana Makeda from Mexico. Great lunging that she does in her breaststroke off of her. That really comes from the core. A lot of people think that comes from the legs, but when you're able to lunge, that's coming from your core strength. Incredible core strength for Dariana as she finishes first in 132.53. Second place in that heat, Torres Claudio from Mexico, 136.86. As the rest of the heat is finishing, there in lane 6, that is Alejandra Navarro Hernandez from Mexico. Third place in that heat was Abby Kershaw at a 138.38. There was a disqualification in event 14, heat 6, lane 8. We're heading towards the last heat of breaststroke. See what I was talking about there? When she gets going in her stroke, she just really lunges off of her hips. And just an outstanding reaction. She's so happy about that swim. Not sure if that's a Q or an O, but if that's an O, it makes a lot of sense. She wants gold. Lizzie Smith just next to her, celebrating alongside her. one of the greatest things of international sport is the camaraderie between lanes. You know, when the race is on, it's competitive from the word go, from that beep to the finish. Heat 7. I think I got the heat right this time. But you know, when they finish the race, these guys see each other all the time at these international meets, and they become friends. Friends really without borders, and it's an outstanding thing that the Paris Swimming World Series provides the Paralympic movement, making the world a little smaller, one race at a time. In the water is heat 7 of 7 of the women's 100-meter breaststroke. In lane 1, Husna Kukandakwe. In lane 2, Kale Thompson. Lane 3, Jenna Jones. Lane 4, Olivia Chambers. Lane 5, Ruby Storm. Lane 6, Ali Deal. Lane 7, Emma Van Dyke. And in lane 8, May White. This is the final heat of the women's 100-meter breaststroke. Excuse me. I have a button for when I clear my throat. And I'm obviously starting to lose it at the end of day 2 prelims, not knowing what to do with all the buttons and screens in front of me. We've just got one event left in the program after this, which is made up of the men's and then the women's 50-meter breaststroke, SB 1 to 3. So they'll be starting from the other end. Look at the clear lead happening here. Outstanding, beautiful breaststroke. That is Olivia Chambers, who we've been watching dominate the middle distance and 200 freestyles. Olivia Chambers hits the wall at a 1:19.48. She entered at a 1:17, so she's a little off on her time, but certainly not off against the heat. We'll see where that time measures up with the points. I'm guessing we'll see Olivia in a final, one way or another. That was the end of the final heat of the women's 100-meter breaststroke. See the times there. The touchpads don't always register. You've got to hit them with an amount of force that makes them register. Sometimes, I'm not going to tell you that touchpads think about it, but the electronics between the touchpads and the backup buttons mathematically figured out after the race, and they do end up with official times. So everything you see on the screen is going to be unofficial other than these athletes' great effort. Olivia Chambers, pretty much start to finish, has that. She gets one dolphin kick underwater, then a pull and a kick. There's Kale from Australia coming in not too far behind, but Olivia Chambers, again, your winner of our final breaststroke heat. Always takes a little bit of a pause here as the next heat, there she is. Kale hit a really good 200 freestyle last night. Fun to watch. So you can see in the background there the warm-up pool. There's our administrative meet staff. They're the ones that are sending me the DQs and the facts and all the things that I have to announce. Everything else I kind of get to announce. In the middle of those 5 people is Allison. She sends me all the information as it happens. So I am indebted to her for keeping me on top of the disqualification information or anything else that I may need to. She's also watching all the records as they happen and sending that information to me. It's incredible. Each person has such a critical role at a swim meet. There's a whole room of people behind them working on all the data. Some of our starter officials, technical officials from World Para Swimming. There's the warm-up pool, always getting a lot of use. That's a 17 feet deep is that pool. That's a little over 5 meters. And that is the dive well / warm-up pool. So when diving practice is going on, they don't have those lane lines in or the backstroke flags up for diving practice, but there's no diving practice going on here. We are at the Paris Swimming World Series, the USA stop for 2025. This is a great series that they've built so athletes can get some international competition throughout the year in the region of the world they live in. Or
Heat 1 of the men's 50-meter breaststroke multi-class. There is one heat.
I was jabbering on about the pools while I was supposed to be announcing what the next event was. Every once in a while I look up at the officials and they're looking at me like I did something or I hadn't done something yet. So we just have one competitor that came to this race, and that is Emiliano from Mexico. Gabriel decided not to swim this.
In the water is Heat 1 of the men's 50-meter breaststroke multi-class SB 1 to 3. In lane 5, Emiliano Lugo Ceja.
So we got that business taken care of. Now, this is outstanding to watch what Emiliano is doing here. Like I said before, many of our breaststrokers at this meet will take 2 strokes per breath. That keeps their body aligned a little better. See, the motion when he comes back down after a breath, if he was doing that every stroke, he would be bouncing up and down a little bit more, and he's not able to bring that leg stabilization that you would get from a strong breaststroke kick. So he has taken that information and those facts in his classification and built an outstanding breaststroke for himself. So this is Emiliano Ceja from Mexico. He's 22 years old. He's entered at a 1:46.41. He's probably going to be a little bit slower than that this morning. We've seen him in a number of events at this meet. Usually the second day of a 3-day trials and finals meet, you start to see some fatigue. So just technical terms for, "Coach, I'm tired." That could be why Gabriel is taking this event off. He was certainly great in his first 2 today. Emiliano finishes at a, we don't know, may not have made the pad trigger. Certainly first in his heat, 1 of 1. He's got the all clear to head to the side of the pool to hop out, and we'll turn our attention to some of his race and then our next swim coming up. So by the rules, he's got to definitely have his feet underwater, but they don't have to have contact with the wall because he was holding on to the wall surface for his start. Great, symmetrical, fast, strong breaststroke. Emiliano finishes first in his heat. Nice dramatic slow-mo of that cool reaction to his time. We'll move on to the women's heat. Leanne Smith, who's just been blowing up the pool at this meet, and Meliani Alvico Araujo. SB2 and SB3 classes. I say class and I should be saying classification, but I've got to say so many things I think I've just shortened it a little.
Heat 1.
This is our last race this morning. We'll be back, I believe, at 5:30. I think yesterday I said we were coming back at 5, so I apologize for that. And I think there were some places in social media of friends and even myself that I put a 5 o'clock final start time on. Apologize for that error. If you tuned in at 5, we're starting at 5:30.
In the water is the first and only heat of the women's 50 breaststroke multi-class SB 1 to 3. In lane 4, Leanne Smith. In lane 5, Miliane Alvico Araujo.
And Leanne Smith is way out in front. Oh, we're getting tricky here. We're going to watch both of them. Leanne Smith is on the left of your screen, and she is probably 30 meters ahead in this race. They're racing each other in the heat, but they're racing against their classifications world record times. So instead of have that big wide shot, we've got both of them nice and close. You can see the different styles based on the abilities they bring to the race. Leanne is just about to finish. She finishes in a 1:09.59, and Miliane is about a little past halfway down the pool. So Leanne had a great swim there. Wasn't challenged in the heat, but Leanne has got a mindset that she can challenge herself in these heats, and she did that very well. She's broken a world, America's, and American record or two already at this swim meet. Leanne Smith, a seasoned veteran of paraswimming and a great example in the Paralympic movement for what we can do. Miliane's got about 4 meters left to swim in this 50 breaststroke. As we saw earlier with some people just pulling themselves down the pool, Miliane has just got an incredible core strength to be able to use her midsection and her kick for her race. Outstanding swim. Miliane came into the wall at 2:19.84. 2:45 was her entry time, so she just cut a lot of time. Just under 30 seconds off of her entry time. Outstanding. You can see their results there. We'll see them in the finals if they choose to do that event again. When the official blows their whistle this time, it will be clearing that the session has finished. And they need to do that because officially, if they don't do that, they can't open the pool for warm-up. So they'll probably open the 50-meter pool up for warm-up until at least noon, which is about 9 minutes from now, noon Eastern time. I want to really emphasize thanking you for watching. We are in Indianapolis, Indiana, right in the middle of America. Just about 2 hours, 2.5 hours southeast of Chicago, if you're familiar with the Midwest. This is the Paraswimming World Series USA stop in the legendary Indiana University Natatorium. You see that big screen TV we've got. They're giving us times and points, and we're feeding video up there. That's the turn end of the pool. If you got the time, bring your team out. If you're a local, bring your team out and watch finals tonight. Look at all those seats that are open. The other side of the pool's got the bulk of the people that are here, mostly parents and friends and coaches. A little bit of social going on. I want to thank you for being here. I need to make a quick announcement to the room, so I will sign off on the video and go back to the end of our show. Thanks so much. This concludes this prelim session. We want to thank our officials and all of our volunteers that make this event happen. Please be back for finals at 5:30 tonight.